got there on a Friday afternoon as the sky began to turn gray. The clinic was deep in the woods on the slopes of a mountain, more than 20 kilometers from the nearest town. No sign, no fence, no mention of it on the new satellite maps. But when I asked the roadside convenience store clerk, he just glanced up and said one sentence: "If you see the entrance, you're chosen." I thought it was a joke until I actually saw a path, not on the GPS, leading to a broken roof concrete building, painted yellowed white, with an old wooden sign that read only 2 numbers. 13. I'm an amateur photographer. I like abandoned places. I've been to old hospitals, rusting power plants, even slaughterhouses where filming is prohibited. But this place was different. No trash, no shoe prints, no pets or insects. All the doors were open, as if someone still passed by often, but didn't want to leave a trace. I turned on the camera. Record mode, full battery, good signal. But as soon as I crossed the threshold of room 13, the hallway at the left end of the main building, everything went quiet. The signal went dead. The camera started vibrating gently. No warning, no heat, just a vibration like an electric field was being scanned through my body without touching it. The walls of room 13 were covered with hand-drawn charcoal drawings. No graffiti, no signatures, just a map of the human nervous system stretching from forehead to spinal cord. So detailed, I thought it was a printout. But in the middle of my forehead, there was a red circle drawn carefully with the caption, "Gate REM, access during sleep phase only." I had never heard that word before, but when I read it, I felt lightheaded, not dizzy. It was as if the name, the neural area code, was hitting my memory from outside. I pulled out my camera and took a picture. But on the LCD screen, instead of just a wall, I saw a hospital bed in the middle of the room and someone lying on it. I turned my head. There was nothing in real life. But on the camera, the person was still lying there, motionless, a breathing tube in his nose. And when I zoomed in on the person's eyes, I saw my face reflected in their pupils. I took down the camera, looked at the room with my naked eyes. No one, no bed, just a wall covered in coal dust and a metallic smell as still as old ashes. I turned around. The door I had just entered was still open, but when I stepped outside, the hallway was no longer the same hallway. I remembered clearly. I entered from the left. The concrete floor was broken. There was a lightning-shaped crack right in the middle of the path, but now the hallway was completely new. The floor was covered in green tiles. The walls were repainted, shiny. The ceiling lights were still on. The fluorescent lights were shaking, as if they had just been restarted after a very long sleep. I tried to walk forward. Every time I turned left, I came back to room number 13. 3 times in a row. On the 4th time, I stopped. Under my feet, right at the edge of the tile, there was a line of words drawn in red charcoal. Very new, never seen before. The strokes were crooked, but clear. You are not dreaming, but someone is using your dream to get back here. I stood there, frozen. My hand automatically turned the camera back on. The light was slightly distorted, as if it were underwater. Then I saw this. Right in room 13, the man lying on the bed began to open his eyes. But instead of looking up at the ceiling, his eyes looked straight into the lens. I slowly panned toward the door. Nothing. Panned back to the bed. No one. I rewound the clip. At the very end, right before the image faded, there was a whisper, as if leaking from a ventilator. I never left here. It's just that sometimes someone else lived for me. I started to rewind, not to escape, but to check. I played back the footage from the camera, from the moment I entered Unit 13 until now. And I saw myself lying on the bed, not in a flash, not a false reflection, but a copy of me, wearing the same jacket, the same backpack, the same memory card strap, lying still, breathing evenly, in a wider angle than my eyes had ever seen. I panned the camera back to the door. In real life, the hallway was empty. But on the screen, the door was closing, inch by inch, as if someone outside the frame was trying to keep me there with every breath. I tried not to panic, tried to keep breathing, but my head started to feel heavy as a stone, as if the air in the room was getting thicker, or my memories were being downloaded remotely. I tried to move my left hand, but the camera recorded my hand raised before I actually raised it. I tried to say, "I want to leave," but the sound was out of the camera before my lips could open. I was no longer in control of my actions. I was being replayed, not filmed, but replayed from an old version. Some part of me had been recorded before I knew what I was doing in here. I sat down on the edge of the wall, trying to keep my eyes open, but in my mind, I heard myself whispering, "Unit 13 doesn't store patients, only those who have entered a dream," that they weren't the main dreamer. I decided to open the door, not because I was sure I could escape, but because I needed to know where I was being watched. The wooden door creaked softly, dry, but smooth as if it had just been oiled. Out in the hallway, it was no longer the old area. It was a modern operating room. The white light was bright like a simulated sun. No people, no sound, just me lying motionless on the table, breathing tube in my nose. EEG machine plugged directly into my temple. I backed away. It felt like the time outside the room was running a few seconds ahead of mine. I looked at the vitals display and saw my heart beating in time. 3737 307, just like the signal synchronizations in the previous episodes I had heard. Gate trim. I looked up at the information board hanging above the door. The words were printed in even, clear strokes. Eden Wake Lab, Gate trim Entity 4B, status, synchronizing memory, software, Loop 13, monitoring version. I get it. I am not the one who came into record. I am the recording. I am the replay of someone who tried to enter Unit 13. and the system is playing me back to see what parts of me are still responding, what parts are still resisting, before closing me in one last time. I run, unclear direction. I dash through doors, through hallways. Every door I open leads back to the first room with the neural map, the one marked gate trim. I scream. Who am I? No one answers. There was only a soft, steady hiss from the ceiling speakers, like a VHS tape being replayed in slow motion. You never leave here. It's just, sometimes, someone else lives for you. I fell the last time I opened my eyes. I saw the LCD screen on the camera I was holding, reading, recording. Active. Subject. Loop 13. Rereading 4B. Status. Mirror only.